J'ai oublié Mathieu. Allô, Geneviève, enchantée.
Mathieu, c'est super bon. Mathieu. Enchanté.
Est-ce que vous voulez les conseils en français ou en anglais?
En anglais.
En anglais. Okay. Each team has 20 minutes to present its case to the judges. I will show a board for the term 5 last minutes and the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds of the speech, I will indicate by means of my two hands the number of remaining seconds. The team that having ended its presentation after 20 minutes will be stopped to move onto the period of questions. A period of questions of a maximal duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind to each judges that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. I will invite the judges to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Miguel Gassin, HR Business Partner for Solidec.
Geneviève Boucher, Training and Organizational Development Advisor for Solidec.
Mathieu Laforge, Vice President, Information Technology, Marketing and Communications.
Julien Catafort, Application Lead for IT for Solidec.
So last year you celebrated a very important milestone. 40 years in the entertainment industry. But how come that you grew so fast? You grew so fast because you understand that the main driver of your business are your employees. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Hello, this is Jonathan, Anton, and for myself, I'm Mathieu, and we are Jam Consulting. Jam Consulting to make sure that your IT strategy does not fall into a jam. So more precisely, our mandate today was to guide Solidec in a choice of an ERP and make sure that it's aligned with an IT strategy. And we took 3 main things into consideration. The first one being the expansion of your business, your current IT issues, and finally, all the business operations that you have within your company. So just to have a small recommendation overview, we are suggesting today that you implement a cloud-based ERP system along with an emphasis on a change management plan. And that will make you able to be scalable, have an efficient ERP, and a flexible ERP. But now that we talk about your employees, what are your main employees' needs?
So your main employees' needs. Your employees are like the heart of your body. They are the driver of your business, just like the heart that manages the body. First, to be accessible. Your employees, with your growth, they want to make sure they are able to access to important information whenever they want and anywhere. To be efficient. Any operation involving employees are being automated or not, you want it to be efficient because you want timely data. You want to make sure whatever you put into the system reflects what is in the system. And you have tailored operations. Tailored operations to your business needs, to your departments. You have different departments, including 2 big divisions, sales, rentals, and also with integration. Now, those are the main drivers and main revenues of your business. And you want to make sure you tailor those operations, while keeping in mind that your employees are the main focus. So, the choice of your ERP should answer your employees' needs because they will manage and continue your growth to drive the company forward. Expansion. You had an impressive sales revenues, $200 million, and that's maybe last year in annual revenues. And you want to make sure that you use it to your own profit to continue your exponential growth. We understand that your growth is very organic. So throughout the years, throughout different acquisitions, you have first started in Canada, but moving forward, one of your different targets is now the US market. And that happened with your new headquarters or plant at Delta. With this continued exponential growth, you want to make sure to always keep in mind your employees. Again, why? because they are the main drivers of your business. And IT flexibility. We understand with expansion, you want to keep things flexible. Your service offering ranges from sales, rental, and conceptualization of audiovisual projects. And IT flexibility means that you can add new features to your IT infrastructure. So being able to control and easily access your information is mandatory for the future of Soltech. Current IT issues. With expansions comes a lot of complexions. First, multiple locations, multiple platforms. You have a lot of different applications or even different little ERPs here and there, and you want to make sure that you are able to centralize everything so that different locations can communicate together, different employees can communicate together, and easily. Legacy systems. You have been building your systems and infrastructure on a flat one, and that causes little problems, such as playing a catch-up game with the industry of technology nowadays. Technology is evolving very quickly, and you want to make sure you stay the leader in technology as an entertainment leader. And lack of scalability. Because of both your multiple applications and legacy systems, it's very hard for you to be able to keep on expanding organically like you have been doing lately. So it takes expertise, and expensive growth is affecting the efficiency of your IT strategy. Business operations. Rentals and sales division, integration division, and mobility. With 2 different countries, your employees are moving from Canada to US. And a lot of them are on call. You want to make sure they are able to access, but also provide data. One of the new technologies you guys are trying to implement is RFID, to be able to manage and track different equipments in the rental, but also in the sales division. You want to make sure which equipment is where on the stage. Is it already stored in your warehouse? Do you need to scan it so that it goes away for a new sales or a new rental? So understanding the different business units is a requirement in the building of an IT strategy. So let's have an alternative overview. As you can see, there are 3 alternatives depicted here. One of which is the open source, which we have not included and decided it is out of scope because of its limitations. Software as a service, where you would agree with a certain supplier, and they would provide you with their services of their expertise in the ERP application or system, while you keep on maintaining your own data. Cloud ERP, where everything is stored on the cloud, making things much more accessible and also more accurate because of the technology and all the evolution revolving around cloud. Out of the box, a more easy strategy. However, it comes with little customization possibilities, but it is easy to implement. So our criteria to choose one of the alternatives as our recommendation was ease of use, flexibility, cost, scalability, and support. Ease of use for the employees. Flexibility to make sure that if new service offerings or new lines of service are opened within Soltech, you're able to manage and customize that ERP. Cost, something that all companies always think of. Scalability for your expansion, and support for your future growth and maintenance of that system. With our criteria, we have come up with a grid. All of the criteria are weighted 20%, so each of them are weighted equally. You can see that with cloud, we had a total of 7.4, making it a difference that with a margin that is capable of giving you the opportunity to see that cloud is the way to go. Again, scalability and flexibility along with the others are graded the same way. They are equally weighted. Therefore, we recommend you cloud solution. Now, following our selection and comparing it to our different alternatives, let us see how it can how it can be implemented and how it can benefit your business and your employees.
So now that we know that the cloud-based solution would be the best ERP alternative for your business, let's have a recap on why that decision and how it came about. Well, first of all, the expansion of your company being situated in 2 different countries, also your current IT issues with your legacy system, and finally, your business operations, how your 2 divisions work together but still have different target market. That is why you need an ERP that is scalable, that is efficient, and that is flexible, so that you can really cater to your employees' needs that will be the one that are using their ERP. And that's why, again, we suggest you to move onto the cloud with a change and management plan. The implementation, what does the implementation look like?
Well, over the next 2 years, we not only plan to implement a successful ERP technically, but also we want to ensure that our employees are ready to engage with utilizing the system, understanding the benefits, and then taking advantage of the system's capabilities. So in the short term, we can see that we'll be selecting the appropriate vendor for our ERP based on certain criteria. We'll also be communicating and engaging with our employees so that they can really understand what the benefits of having the ERP system are, as well as how their daily operations will ultimately change. In the medium term, we'll be analyzing what operations will be modified in order to centralize certain operations for the purpose of the project, as well as developing and testing our solution. Once we've had our go live, we'll be able to proceed with a stabilization period to ensure that our employees know how to use the system with our training plan, and that we're able to support them once it goes live, so that we can actually understand, so that your employees can really understand how to use the ERP to the fullest. So for our first point in our implementation is really choosing the right vendor. We aim to launch a request for proposal based on the following criteria: industry experience, past projects, and performance level. We want to look at a company that has already been in the ERP business, but also in companies such as Solotech that have implemented successful ERPs, as well as in Canada and the US, where your operations are currently being held. We want to also look at the success that this company has had with past projects. We want to see how the implementation went, if their consultants were really engaging with the employees, and if the training plan was successful. We want to also see that they're really capable of going with the company's needs and our level of performance in the markets. So our communication plan is extremely important. Why? Well, it tells everyone why we need to change and how we're going to do it. So along the way, at first, we want to start at the top. We want to gather support from the major stakeholders of every business unit. And to do so, we're going to get the president as the sponsor. He knows that the business needs to drive forward. We are growing, we are expanding, we are acquiring companies left and right. We need to make sure that we can acquire them smartly and have a smooth growth. Following this, we'll have separate kickoffs in all of our locations where the managers will be involved with the employees to address the need to change. We'll make sure that we have the proper change champions to really motivate the employees within those teams. We'll also make sure to limit employee resistance along the way by having an open communication channel to gather the feedback of how everything is going. So in our next stage, the analysis stage, we really want to know what operations have backlogs, what operations are not automated, and how we can centralize them so that our employees can benefit from them and understand that their lives will be much easier. So we'll be looking at the typical daily, weekly, and monthly tasks of our employees, as well as how they analyze and perform their reporting tasks. So we understand that you need to get your customers on board with your company, with the sales, the rentals, and the integration. However, we need to make sure that we can satisfy our current and future customers with proper reporting and analytical tools. We want to look at now how the systems can be integrated with our new environment. So we want to look at developing and integrating legacy applications that are not as scalable. And we want to make sure that the current integrated systems in finance, our CRM tool, our HR tools can be integrated with our new ERP. And as I've mentioned, using the data is extremely important. We'll be doing this mainly with our business analysts who will be conducting surveys and meeting with the employees in the different business units. So in our training plan, we'll mainly be looking at training them on their day-to-day. We'll put in place a feedback system to make sure that our training is not going to waste and it's coming to fruition with what we want to communicate to them. They'll be learning the technical aspects of the tool, the interfaces, how they're communicating with the different departments, how they're receiving information, as well as we're going to make it sustainable. So how are we going to do this? We're going to train super users. These super users will be like our change champions, not as much as administrators, but that we'll be focusing on supporting the users so that throughout the way, they know how to utilize the ERP to the fullest. So we'll be doing this through a waterfall methodology, developing, testing, as well as pushing to production each module. We'll be looking at the main modules, which are finance, logistics, human resources, and marketing. These are the main modules. We'll be including other modules as our analysis has been done. And to test, we'll be implementing a pilot program in Montreal so that we can see that the functions, that the modules that we've developed actually work, and we have a real life case scenario of seeing how everything can go along. We'll go live and we'll have consultants from the ERP company stay on premise so that we can have a successful stabilization period. Now, with every implementation, there are costs associated to it. Let's look at that.
So the total budgeted cost is around 5.5 million, divided in two main parts. The first one being the actual ERP, and the second one being the change management plan. Further analysis and development, that's going to be the bigger portion of the pie that will be consistent of the price of the ERP, which is a total of 5 million. And finally, the change management plan is consisted of two main plans, the training plan and the communication plan, which is a bit more than 500,000. If we look at the returns, you're going to have very more productive employees because the ERP is tailored to your employees. They really understand how to use it, and they can understand their clients' needs better. They can make better choice that will result in more productive employees, and finally, they can use all that data that is gathered to make more meaningful choices. In terms of key performance indicators, how can we measure that our implementation is on track? Well, the first one being that we want to have a regular overtime ratio increased by 0.5, which means that your employees are spending less time during overtime because their ERP understands them and they understand their ERP. And we can measure that by having automated timesheet analytics. Secondly, they will also spend less time imputing the data. Their ERP is very simple and easy to use, and we can measure that through system information and logs. And the last KPI, we can go furthermore during the question period. In terms of risk, with every implementation comes great risk, but there's a way to mitigate it. The first one, what happens if nobody responds to your RFP? That would be devastating, and it would delay your project. That's why you need you can review your ERP requirements and broaden the scope to make sure that your ERP can stay on schedule. Secondly, what if employees resist further change? They don't like the new ERP, and that would hinder their ERP adoption. That is why you want to have individual mentorship program put in place to make sure that they can adhere to the ERP and use it and see the full benefits of it. And finally, what happens if you misidentify business requirements? That means that in your new ERP, some of the components that your business units are using, they will no longer have this. That is why it's really important to have proper testing and appropriated management approval put in place before you go live. So we were here to really guide your IT strategy and choose which one of the solutions you should take. We really understood that your employees are the center of your business, the one that can drive the growth so that it continues to keep on benefiting your company. And we understood this through the expansion, your current IT issues, and your business operations. And that is why your ERP needs to be scalable, efficient, and flexible, and that cloud is the best solution for this. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
The HR people are not going to have any questions because you got all your points there. You mentioned
Maybe I get one.
Yes, I have one. First of all, a great pitch, a great presentation. My question is about the communication plan. I think all the steps there are very important in that kind of project, as well as the kickoff meetings in different offices. But we have a lot of employees who never came at the offices. They are always on the road, always on tours, everywhere in the world. How can you plan to reach them with that kind of kickoff meeting?
So in order to reach them, we understand that there's a lot of employees who are on the road. So first, there are some email communications that could be done, or more of a reminder if I could tell. Certain reminders, maybe a 1, 2, 3 every week maybe, but we're going to set a certain day, a certain time. We're going to book them on the schedule so that we could meet, let's say, on Skype. Skype is one of the tools you could use, which is very available, very accessible nowadays, but depending on your channels of communication, we could also use them.
Okay, thank you.
About the training, I see that you have a training plan and a training budget. What are the kind of training tools that you are thinking about for the implementation of the ERP?
So the training will be relying a bit on the ERP consultants that will be coming in that have their own training plan for different companies, and they'll be tailoring it to our organization. We'll also be able to see through the analysis stage what kind of training should be done on their day-to-day operations, as well as the tools that they'll be using, such as the interface.
You were talking and delivering the solution, you were suggesting a pilot program. I was wondering where that pilot program fits into the overall timeline of the project.
So the pilot program is once we've tested the ERP, we'll do a pilot program in order to see the full functionalities in production. This will ensure that the reporting and the analytical aspects of the ERP have been well documented and are well in place and can be used to the fullest capabilities. So that is why we'll be doing the pilot program with Joe.
Did that answer your question?
More specifically, I was wondering where it is successive to the big overall plan, or it is in parallel?
So actually the pilot programming will be done during the testing. So depending on the modules, let's say financial would probably one of the first one being implemented because of its not only risk, but because they are the main sponsors along with the president. We're going to pilot test to make sure that module works, that is accurate, because we're playing with financial data. We could use a snapshot of production data and use it as test data. So definitely during the testing phase, just before the go live, so that we're risk-free.
You selected a waterfall implementation approach. It's one of the good methods out there. There's many. There's some that may be more in fashion these days. I'd like to know why you chose that and what's good about it, and maybe things we should look for to make sure we don't fall into any kind of traps.
Absolutely. So the reason why we went with waterfall is because we know that this is a large project. We don't want to be doing agile in this case, even though it's something that's being done a lot. However, for an ERP, we need to look at every module is being done correctly based on our baselines and what we exactly need that have been, what exactly the needs were identified in the analysis stage. And we'll be making sure that through the testing, we've identified each measure that we've developed, each application that we've developed so that we can do it successfully and launch it in a single big bang so that we can, yeah.
Good. Cool. Can I continue?
Yes.
All right. So you want to do a big bang, you better buy a sleeping bag so you're going to sleep at the office for a few days. But the question on that is, what happens with the many offices that we have? Are we going to implement this for every offices all at once? Or are we going to do it in sequence? I know we're doing a pilot in Montreal, and I think maybe my question is related to what Janine was saying. Are we going to make sure, or are we going to mitigate the risks of doing it all?
So we're going to first pilot the program through Montreal, making sure that everything is implemented correctly. And one of the things we need to review is that the implementation met the initial requirements. By making sure the requirements are met at the Montreal office, then we can proceed to look at the other offices. For the other,
It's over.
oh,
Oh, thank you.